Drones are again targeting Russia, with one shot down near Moscow.
We can turn to NATO classifications and definitions of the different types of drones that we have.
You're looking through the eyes of a weapon right now. It weighs less than a can of Coke, costs less than your smartphone, and in exactly 3 seconds, it'll destroy a multi-million-dollar tank. Boom. Let me just put it this way for you. Every 10 seconds, a drone takes off, sometimes filming these real estate properties, but sometimes ending lives. And I mean a lot of them. Unfortunately, this is the reality we live in today. Drones, yes, once simple toys, have transformed into deadly unmanned aerial vehicles, changing everything from war zones to the skies that we look at. You know, it's actually funny. These consumer ones initially started as toys for photographers and tech nerds, but now they have a pretty key role in, global conflicts. For instance, 2022, during Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the world saw this transformation live. Cheap consumer drones like DJI Mavic and the mini version, yes, the same ones me and you use to shoot these incredible videos, were loaded with grenades by civilians and, launched into the sky to take out these tanks, which cost a lot. It was like, I felt like I was witnessing the future because this is so much advancement. And Ukraine wasn't the only example specifically. In Syria, Armenia, and even recent tensions between Iran and Israel, we've seen these cheap drones, quadcopters, shift power warfare like no other technology has since Cold War. It's invisible, it's unstoppable, and most people haven't even realized it started. So how do we even get here? Because I think that's the most important question we have to ask ourselves. So what I'm gonna do for you guys is I'm gonna break it down from the core tech to the battlefield and how it got to your backyard. So let's do it. When people hear drones, they usually picture these small quadcopters that I mentioned before. But in reality, drone is just a nickname. The real term is unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV. And UAVs, range from palm-sized toys to these multi-million-dollar military aircraft, like the MQ-9 Reaper, which can fly for 27 hours straight and carry laser-guided missiles. Now, technically, they all work the same way. They have motors, propellers, a brain source, and a brain. That brain is a flight controller connected to sensors like GPS, gyros, and accelerometers, and it constantly makes these micro adjustments so even like your little brother can fly one without even crashing it into a tree. I mean, most of the time. But more advanced UAVs use encrypted satellite links to stream live data and video to operators halfway around the world, while flying over war zones. And what used to cost the Pentagon millions, you can now get for under $1,000. Interestingly, drones have been around longer than we think. The first military drone experiments were during the First World War, basically glorified the RC planes. But they didn't become like game changers until the early 2000s, when the US started using Predator drones for precision airstrikes in Afghanistan.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against Al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan.
And what was fascinating, you didn't need a pilot in the cockpit. You needed a soldier in Nevada controlling the drone halfway across the planet, drinking a Red Bull. But then it came the leap to the public. In 2013, DJI launched the Phantom. This drone made flying accessible to the masses. It had a GPS, a 4K camera, and was so stable it could make a noob look like a filmmaker. Now, by 2020, DJI controlled 80% of the consumer market. YouTubers, vloggers, travelers, even real estate agents, everyone had a drone. It became just another tech toy until it wasn't. Now, to get an idea of how dangerous drones have become, we have to flash back to Ukraine in 2022. A $700 drone bought from Amazon is turned into a deadly weapon. Now, you tape a grenade to it, fly it over a Russian tank, and you drop it, boom!
Multiple air bases have come under drone attack.
In Russia have come under Ukrainian drone attacks. Now, what we do know and can confirm, according to officials, is that the Belaya...
Now, suddenly, a $700 toy beats a $3 million tank. Now, this wasn't just happening in Ukraine specifically. In Syria, Armenia, and even the Israel-Iran conflict, commercial drones, were being hacked, upgraded, and in fact, weaponized.
Overnight, the Israeli military says they intercepted 2 drones that they believe were launched from Iran.
Iran
Iran has tonight launched retaliatory strikes on Israel. Iran's Revolutionary Guard says it attacked dozens of targets, including military centers and
This
air bases.
flipped the entire logic of warfare. Why do we have to invest in tanks, jets, and billion-dollar missiles when a backpack drone swarm can do the job? Isn't that logical? It's like the iPhone moment for military strategy and defense. Now, analysts right now compare the rise of drones to the impact of weapons of mass destruction. But this time, you don't need a lab. You just need a Wi-Fi and, in fact, a drone license. Now, that's why I believe a lot of these small companies or relatively big defense companies are coming out, like Anduril, which have these cost-efficient weapons, such as drones, anti-missile systems, anti-drone systems, which are, I think, the next frontier of warfare. Cost-efficient, cost-effective, yet lethal as well. And, of course, intelligent with AI, which I'm going to get there. Since we talked about the future of warfare and drones, we have to talk about AI. An important question to ask is what happens when you take the pilot out of the drone, completely. Now imagine drones that don't even need a human to pull the trigger into Project Replicator, an initiative by the US Department of Defense to deploy autonomous drone swarms. And a lot of countries have already tested AI-guided drones in combat. These flying robots can, scan, identify, and tag targets without asking for permission. These drones, in fact, talk to each other mid-air, analyze the battlefield, and unfortunately make kill decisions in real time. But of course, here's the real question. If the AI drone kills the wrong person or the wrong building, who do we have to blame? And that's not something sci-fi making up. That's already happening. Oh, and on the side note, one thing to point out is that we know that by 2030, global drone shipments are expected to reach 29 million annually in terms of the consumer side. So we're going to see a lot of drones. But to point it out, drones aren't just like flying in war zones. They're flying above your head as well. Police use them to track suspects. Amazon is testing future deliveries. Funny, but in China, drones are used to monitor school exams. And during COVID lockdowns, I think some cities used to use drones to yell at people violating curfew. It's creepy. Yeah, useful? Yes. But one thing's for sure, drones blur the line between public and private space. You got thermal imaging, facial recognition, high zoom lenses. You think CCTV is invasive? Imagine this. Just wait for this. So where does that leave us? Should AI be making, the kill decisions? Should cops be able to fly into your backyard without a warrant? Should teenagers have, access to a tech that can, in fact, destroy a tank? These aren't just, hypotheticals anymore. These are questions we are all going to have to answer, especially Gen Z, the first generation to grow up with drones as toys and tools. We're not just, users, we're the regulators, engineers, and future lawmakers. Drones started as toys or, in fact, military experiments, but now they're rewriting the rules of power. It's not about being, scared. It's about being informed, because the drone revolution isn't coming. It's already here. And if you don't understand it now, we will regret it later. We have to pay attention, because drones aren't these flying things anymore. They're flying decisions. And welcome to the future, my friends. I'm Aaron Kavari, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.